Hi everyone, Zarina here, or better known on the internet, well actually as Zarina County, but in knitting circles perhaps Woolly Nomad. Well, that's what the channel is. So today I just want to show you my cable project that I've been knitting for a while. It's always on a back burner really, because you know you've got other projects to do and you know things take precedent, and your own cardie kind of goes to the back of the pile. So it's a cardigan, and so this is the front like this, you know, and I've got this really nice cabley pattern I designed. I mean, it's not like a new kind of pattern. I mean, it's kind of like a traditional type pattern really. You have the diamond shapes, you've got this kind of little line going along, you've got this cable, and then I've got this cable here where the buttons are going to be. And the idea is that I don't need to put buttonholes in because I've already got like a hole here. So I've designed it so that I'm just gonna, so it'll just be very easy to button up and stuff like that, you know. And I don't have to button it if I don't want to, I can just have it loose. So yeah. But today what I wanted to show you this just because, you know, because I'm doing it and it's nice to share knitting anyway. That's the back. It's all pretty much the same, isn't it, back and front, but there you go. But today I wanted to show you how you can repair your cable stitch, you know, if you've dropped one or something, or perhaps you've not knit it correctly. So with cables, and it doesn't matter what cable you're doing and what the outcome is, what you're doing is you're crossing the stitches like this. So a stitch that was over here, right, is now over here, and a stitch that was over here is now over here, and then you knit them as you would knit. So you knit along that way, so that stitch gets knit on that side and that one gets knit on that side, and that's where you get the crossover. So I'm going to see here, looks like there's sort of a twirl going on, but actually it's just the stitches crossing over and then being knit. And then normally what happens is, and again with the same with this kind of design, looks like it's just traveling up the knitting, but actually, you know, the stitches are being manipulated, so some of them are going that way and some of them are going that way, and it looks like you've got something sitting on the top actually, doesn't it, rather. Yeah, so I kind of just wanted to show you, because there's been a few times where I've done something wrong and I haven't, you know, because I just work intuitively normally when I'm knitting for myself, especially. I'm not referring to anything. I'm just knitting it up. And then sometimes what happens is, okay, so the cable is, you know, the design is going this way and this way. And sometimes what happens is by accident, I've angled it that way and then that way. And it's got a bit like a funny shape, you know, that sort of thing. Or here, for instance, instead of angling the stitches over the back, I've done it over the front, so then it's gone a bit funny here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to perhaps show you with one of these stitches, well, this bunch. So this is a bunch of 4 stitches here. I'm just going to show you how I correct it if it goes wrong. So I'm just going to go and mess around with it first because I don't actually need to do any corrections at the moment. Yeah, well, I don't think I do. I could have a look and see. Do I need to do any corrections? But anyway, so what we'll do is we'll just use this. And how do we correct the 4 stitches if they go wrong? Because it can be a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. Right, so I'm just knitting up to where that cable is so that I can show you. And I'm just going to wrap that one. Now, I might do a thing on cable stitches so you can see which ones are which. Okay, so I've got 4 stitches here, and this is a cable design. And normally what you would do if you want to make this twirly effect is you would either angle 2 of the stitches to the back and 2 to the front, that sort of thing. So in the design, these 2, the right ones, are going to the back, and these 2 are going to the front. And how I tend to do it is, I mean, I don't usually use a cable needle, but you can. Or you can use let's get into the camera. Right. Or you can use a cable, you can use a cable needle or just a spare needle that you've got. Right, and then that's how you sort of knit it up like that. right? And then I've made it. But let's say I've made a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to take a bunch off. Yeah, take that one out and take that one out. And let's say instead of knitting, so I've got these, where are they? Right, so those are the 4 stitches. And what I should be doing is I should be knitting these 2 to the front, these 2 to the front, and these 2 to the back. But let's say I do it the other way around by accident, yeah? And these 2 end up at the back, and these 2 end up at the front. Yeah, right, so that's what I've done. Hang on. Let me just knit it up now. Knit it up till we get to, and then I'll show you how it looks, and it's going to look wrong. Yeah. So I'm showing you how to mess it up as well. I'm showing you how to mess it up and repair it. then we're gonna repair it properly. Okay. Yeah, there we are. Oops. Right. Okay. So there we are. Okay. So can you see? It's like it's messed up now, isn't it? You know. And even if I was to do it the pattern as I'm supposed to, where these 2 go to the front and those 2 go to the back. Oops. It's probably better to use a cable needle actually, which I'm going to do in a second, okay, when we repair it. Okay, I'll do that then. So even if we do it like normally now, for this next, for the row that we're on, we knit it up. So we've done it properly. But can you see? There's a problem here, isn't there? There's now a problem because the previous set of cables, we didn't do in the right way. We didn't do it the right way round. So, you know, that's going to kind of look ugly, perhaps. You know, it might not be noticeable, you know, you might get away with it, and that's all right. But if you kind of like think, oh, I don't want them, you know, I don't want an anomaly in my knitting, then you can just repair it. So this is how you do it. And let me bring another needle in, just so, because it's probably best to use either a cable needle or another needle. And I always recommend using a smaller needle because it's easier to put the stitches on. Yeah. Right, so first of all, what you do is, right, let me just move some stuff out of the way. Right. So first of all, we know the mistake is here. So we'll just take off what we've just knit. Okay, that's fine. And then pull out that needle because you don't want to lose any stitches from this side. And you can also pull out this needle if you want to. There you go. Now we've got our stitches that are all bunched up and funny. We've actually got an extra, it's obviously come out. Right, so we're going to pull out the stitches that we think were funny, yeah, and then we're going to put them back the way they're supposed to be. So if we were going to knit these, you know, normally, we would be knitting them that way. So I'm just going to put them back on this needle actually, might as well, just to show you, so you know where we are. Right, so two rows down when we were doing the knit side, because that's the front facing side, that's how they were sitting, and they were sitting correctly. And then we made a mistake, you know, hypothetically. Now what you have is, when you cable, usually, I'm not going to say this happens every time, it depends on who's written the pattern and what the pattern is. Usually you have a knit side, which is the right side, and you have a purl side, which is the wrong side. And if you knit in the round, of course, the purl side is not necessarily going to be purl. You're going to be sort of knitting, you know, if you're knitting in the round, you'll be doing the same sort of thing. But one row is usually the one where you are making increases, decreases, and swapping around the stitches, and one row is usually just a knit or purl row, so you don't actually swap around anything. So only one of the rows is a swap around row. So if I look at my yarns at the back, I've got two 2 strands here. Now one of them is for the swap around and one of them is just for the knitting. It's not going to be, there's not going to be any swapping around here. So I know I only have to swap around for 1 row. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if I was using a cable needle, I would first of all pick up those 2 stitches. Let's get in a bit closer. Pick up the first 2 and then move them out the way, and then with my needle, where's it gone, pick up those 2 stitches, and then these 2 stitches, just circular needle, I can pull it around, which is really handy. Right, then I pick up those 2 stitches. There we go, and that's the crossover. So we've got our crossover sorted, right? And so that yarn at the back, the first one, so make sure you don't want to get them twisted. So that's the second one and that's the first one. So the first one, right, you're going to knit that. So what I'm going to do first, what I'm going to do before I do anything else, is I'm going to put it back on the needle, or you can put them on the small needle, it doesn't even matter actually. But if you're worried your stitches are going to be too tight or something with the small needle, just put them on your main needle, put them back. There it is, they're there. And I'm going to use that first yarn to knit them off now. So I usually hold the yarn on my finger. And there you go, 1. Knit it off. Oops, we seem to have dropped a stitch. Okay. Have we? No, we haven't. It's there, it's there. It's there. If you drop a stitch, just start again. It's no biggie, you know. Just start again. Okay, so that one is there. Now, sorry, it's a bit dark, the yarn is, and therefore you might find it, oh, I can't see, you know. So get in close and put a light on. And that's the last one. Just get that one up as well. Now the other way to do it is to put that yarn onto the needle. So right, so yeah. So I was just saying that you can, if you find it tricky to, like, oh gosh, I can't get my finger in there, it's not getting on my finger, you can actually pick up the yarn from the back and put it on the needle like so, and then pop it around. Yeah, there we go. And then put all the stitches back on to that needle, right? And so we've got our turn or our twist, where these 2 stitches that were previously over here are now over here. These 2 stitches that were previously over here are now over this side. But the crossing is always, the left hand stitches are crossing to the right in this pattern. I mean, it changes in different patterns, so you know, just be aware. And then I just need to knit on that second bunch of yarn now, and I can easily do it just like that, because that first stitch is pretty easy, nice and loose. But if you find that it starts tightening up and you just don't know what you're doing, you can't see it, find it, pick it up, put it on the needle like so. There it is, and it will be the sort of, it will be the loose kind of float like yarn, or the yarn that looks like a float, something like that anyway. Right, and so that's the next one done now. And there we are, and that's correctly knit now. So when I go to now knit my next bit, I'm going to cross over again. So what like I said, I don't really use these to do that because well, I don't need to, but you might want to use another needle to cross them over. So you pick up one set, then you pick up the other set of stitches, whatever it is, angle them in the direction, yeah, and then that can go back on there. Oops, sorry. Right, so that can go back on there like that. I think I'm doing it in a kind of a left-handed way, it doesn't matter. Point is, get them back on the needle. Doesn't matter how you do it. Right, and now I can knit them off. So There we go. And my pattern now is correct. As you can see, there it is, and it's going in the right direction. So this one's going that direction, that one, and so is that one. So if you find your knitting is going in the wrong direction, just, you know, isolate which stitches you need to take apart. Don't take apart more stitches than you need to, is my advice. For instance, if I'd taken any of these or any of these apart, then I would have got confused about actually where is the cable, where's it sitting, and it might wander over this side or over this side. So when you're doing it, isolate the pattern part and only take apart that bit of the pattern. If you want any more tips about cable knitting and how you can correct mistakes in cable knitting, just leave a comment below and I'll try and, you know, try and sort it out for you. I mean, that mistake, you can rectify all the way down here if you wanted to, you know, and you don't have to take all the knitting apart to do it. You just need to take one line of knitting apart and knit that up again. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. See you later.